The massive chamber of the galactic conclave hummed with the voices of 217 different species. Some spoke in low rumbles that made the floor vibrate. Others communicated in high-pitched sounds that human ears could barely detect. Translator devices worked overtime, converting the cacophony into something each member could understand. Ambassador Elena Chen sat straight-backed in the human delegation seat. Unlike most representatives who lounged in specially designed comfort pods, she chose a simple chair. At 5'7", she was one of the smallest beings in the room. Many aliens towered over her, some reaching 15 feet tall with multiple limbs, tentacles, or strange appendages. As the human delegation prepared its defense, the voice of High Arbiter Zikvol, a 9-foot crystalline being, echoed through the chamber. Elena stood, her dark blue uniform crisp against her olive skin. The Earth Alliance sees no need for a defense, High Arbiter. We request clarification on the charges. A wave of clicks, whistles, and rumbles, the equivalent of murmurs, swept through the assembly. The charges are well documented, said Representative Mulak of the Centauri Federation. His gelatinous body pulsed with blue light as he spoke. Humanity's expansion rate exceeds safety parameters. Your technological development lacks proper safeguards. Your cultural programming contains competitive elements deemed hazardous to galactic harmony. Elena nodded calmly. These are observations, not charges. The Earth Alliance has followed every regulation since our admission as a probationary member 23 years ago. The shortest probationary period ever granted, hissed Representative Tikal of the Rigelian Empire. Her scaled face showed no expression, but her tail lashed against the floor. An error in judgment we now correct. Elena's aide, Michael Okonkwo, leaned close. At 32, he was 10 years younger than Elena, with dark skin and worried eyes. They've already decided, he whispered. This is just a show. Elena gave a slight nod but kept her face neutral. 6 months of diplomatic training on 7 different worlds had taught her how various species interpreted human expressions. To many, a smile was a threat display. To others, a frown indicated reproductive readiness. She maintained what humans called a poker face. The conclave has reviewed the evidence, announced High Arbiter Zakavol. Humanity's evolutionary path shows concerning irregularities. Your species adapted to become apex predators, yet developed empathy. You create art while designing weapons. You form emotional bonds, yet engage in competition. These contradictions make your development patterns unpredictable. Unpredictable is not the same as dangerous, Elena countered. Humanity's adaptability is our strength. We've overcome planetary disasters, unified our world government, and developed space travel without outside assistance. Precisely the problem, rumbled the representative of the Tau Ceti Collective, a being that resembled a collection of floating orange spheres. Most species require centuries of guidance before achieving interstellar travel. Humans accomplished it mere decades after discovering atomic energy. This acceleration is unprecedented and concerning. Elena opened her mouth to respond when her personal communicator vibrated against her wrist. A quick glance showed an urgent message from Earth Command, heavily encrypted. She frowned slightly, then quickly smoothed her expression. The conclave will now vote, announced High Arbiter Zikvol. The question, should humanity be removed from probationary status and exiled from galactic territories? One by one, the representatives indicated their votes. Elena watched as the holographic tally grew. Most species didn't even hesitate, they immediately voted for exile. Ambassador, Michael whispered urgently. Earth Command's message. They're saying, not now, Elena murmured, watching as the vote count climbed. Only 3 species voted, in humanity's favor. The Arcturians, ancient beings who had seen civilizations rise and fall. The Vega Collective, who had always appreciated human art and music. And the mysterious Proxima, who rarely participated in galactic politics at all. Final vote, 214 for exile, 3 against. High Arbiter Zakvol's crystalline body glowed brightly. The decision is made. Humanity is granted 5 standard years to remove all presence from galactic shared space. Your species will be restricted to your solar system until such time as the Conclave deems you have evolved suitable stability. Elena stood, her face still carefully neutral. The Earth Alliance acknowledges the Conclave's decision. No protests, no pleas, no anger. Her calm acceptance caused another wave of murmurs through the chamber. As she gathered her notes, Representative Jalar of the Pleiades Union approached. His 4 eyes blinked in synchronized pity. Ambassador Chen, I voted for your exile, but I take no pleasure in it. Your species showed such promise. Perhaps in 1,000 years the Conclave will reconsider. Thank you for your concern, Representative, Elena replied politely. 1,000 years is not as long as you might think. As they exited the chamber, Michael finally pulled Elena aside in the private human delegation room, his eyes wide. Ambassador, did you read the message from Earth Command? Elena nodded, finally allowing a small smile. Operation Exodus already initiated. Return immediately. Michael's jaw dropped. But how did they know? The vote just happened. Earth expected this outcome months ago, Elena said, removing her formal diplomatic insignia. When I was appointed, I received contingency orders. The moment probationary review was scheduled, preparations began. What does this mean? Michael asked. Elena's eyes gleamed with determination. It means humanity doesn't need 5 years. It means we're not waiting to be told twice. Every colony, every outpost, every human in galactic space is already preparing to leave. But where will we go? The exile restricts us to the solar system. Elena placed her hand on Michael's shoulder. The Conclave believes space beyond their territories is empty or worthless. They're wrong. While they've been watching us, we've been watching them, learning their blind spots, finding the gaps in their maps. You're saying we already have somewhere else to go? Not somewhere, Elena corrected him. Everywhere they aren't. The Conclave just freed us from their regulations and restrictions. They think they're punishing us, but they've actually removed our chains. Michael looked shocked. Did all of Earth's leadership know about this? Operation Exodus has been our backup plan since first contact revealed how the Conclave treats younger species. Elena checked her watch. Our shuttle leaves in 30 minutes. By the time we reach Earth, the first wave of departures will have already begun. She gazed out the viewport at the glittering Conclave station, a marvel of engineering built over thousands of years by hundreds of species. They think they're exiling us, she murmured. But humanity is about to show the galaxy what we can really do when we're not held back. The stars seemed to shine brighter as Elena turned her back on the Galactic Conclave, ready to join her species in the greatest exodus in human history, one that would change the galaxy forever. 6 months after the exile vote, Admiral Zikatar of the Galactic Enforcement Division stood on the observation deck of his flagship, the Vigilant Observer. The massive vessel hovered at the edge of Earth's solar system, tasked with monitoring humanity's compliance with the exile order. What he witnessed left him puzzled. They're leaving? He muttered, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of confusion in his species. His second-in-command, Commander Vex, floated beside him. Her cloud-like body pulsed with blue lights as she processed the sensor data. Not just leaving, Admiral. They're taking everything with them, she reported. On the main view screen, they watched as a convoy of human ships departed from Mars. The vessels weren't what the Galactic Conclave had expected. Instead of sleek military ships or desperate refugee transports, these were massive industrial platforms. Mining stations, research facilities, and habitat modules all connected together into makeshift arcs. The humans were granted 5 years to withdraw, Admiral Zekatar noted. Yet they'll be completely gone within 1. Their efficiency is concerning. Commander Vex pulsed yellow, indicating agreement. The Martian colonies are being dismantled down to their foundations. Lunar bases are being packed up. They're even harvesting their asteroid mining operations. What about Earth itself? The Admiral asked. Strangely untouched, except for massive launch operations. They seem to be preserving their homeworld. Admiral, Zekatar tapped his claws against the metal railing. Any signs of protest, resistance? Surely not all humans agree with this rapid evacuation. None detected, Vex replied. Their communications show remarkable unity. They're following something called Operation Exodus with almost military precision. The Admiral turned to his intelligence officer, a reptilian saurian named Krell. Have we decoded this operation's full parameters? Krell's scales shifted from green to blue, a sign of frustration. No, Admiral. Human communications switched to entirely new encryption protocols the day after the Exile vote. We've only intercepted fragments. What do the fragments tell us? Only that they were prepared for this outcome, Krell replied. Operation Exodus was not created in response to the vote. It existed beforehand. Admiral Zakatar's spine ridges rose slightly, the equivalent of a frown. They anticipated exile? How? Unknown, sir. The Admiral stared at the screen, watching. Another convoy depart from Jupiter's moons. Establish communication with the nearest human vessel. After a few moments, the screen displayed the bridge of a human ship. A dark-skinned man with silver at his temples nodded respectfully. This is Captain Adesina of the United Earth Transport New Horizon. How may I assist you, Admiral? Captain, I am Admiral Zikatar of the Galactic Enforcement Division. Your species seems to be departing with unusual haste. The Conclave granted you 5 years. The captain smiled politely. We appreciate the warning and the time frame, Admiral. Humanity simply prefers to be efficient. Where are you taking all these resources? The Exile restricts you to your solar system. The Exile restricts our presence in galactic territories, Captain Adesina corrected. It does not specify where we may go otherwise. Admiral Zakatar's ridge spines fully extended. In alarm. There is nowhere else to go. Beyond galactic space is uncharted and dangerous. For the Galactic Conclave, perhaps, the captain replied calmly. We've been exploring those regions for some time. Before the Admiral could respond, his sensor officer interrupted. Sir, we're detecting unusual activity at the human space station orbiting Jupiter. The view screen shifted to show a massive orbital platform being systematically dismantled. Smaller ships carried away sections while others retrieved materials from the gas giant's mining operations. They're taking the station apart piece by piece, Commander Vex observed. Not destroying it, preserving it for transport. Captain Adesina, Admiral Zakatar turned back to the communication screen. What exactly does humanity plan to do beyond galactic borders? Survive, thrive, build. The captain's expression remained pleasant but revealed nothing more. We're simply respecting the Conclave's decision. This level of coordination suggests long-term planning, the Admiral pressed. How long has humanity been preparing for exile? Admiral, Captain Adesina replied. When you first contacted Earth 23 years ago, we observed how the Conclave treated other young species. We've been preparing contingencies ever since. After the communication ended, Admiral Zikatar ordered his ship to move closer to Earth. As they approached the blue planet, they observed massive launch facilities operating continuously. Every hour, new transport ships rose from the surface, filled with people and resources. Scan the planet, he ordered. Population centers are steadily emptying, reported Krell, but they're leaving infrastructure intact. Power plants, farming systems, and historical sites remain untouched. They're preserving their world, just removing their presence from it. Admiral Zikatar watched a family board a transport ship at a spaceport in what humans called North America. The parents carried minimal belongings. Their children looked excited rather than afraid. This doesn't make sense, he muttered. Most species fight exile. They protest, resist, beg for reconsideration. These humans act as if... He paused, uncomfortable with his own thought. As if what, Admiral? Asked Commander Vex. As if we've done exactly what they wanted us to do. 3 months later, the Admiral prepared his final report for the Galactic Conclave. His ship hovered near Earth, now almost entirely evacuated except for minimal maintenance crews. The last official human transport will depart in 6 hours, Commander Vex reported. They will have completed their withdrawal 2 years and 9 months ahead of the deadline. Admiral Zikatar nodded, reviewing his report one final time. He had documented everything: the methodical evacuation, the salvaging of resources, the preservation of Earth itself. Yet one detail troubled him most. During your observations, he asked his intelligence officer, how many human ships have you tracked beyond the solar system? Krell consulted his data. 372 large colony vessels and approximately 2,000 smaller transports. And how many launch operations have you observed from Earth and other human settlements? 416 colony vessels and over 2,700 transports. The Admiral's spine ridges rose again. There's a discrepancy of 44 colony ships and 700 smaller vessels. Yes, sir. We believe they entered uncharted space outside our sensor network. Admiral Zakatar looked at Earth on the view screen. Still beautiful, still blue, but now strangely quiet. He recalled his conversation with Captain Adesina and added one final note to his report. Humanity hasn't just accepted exile. They've embraced it, and I fear the Galactic Conclave may one day regret giving them reason to look beyond our borders. As the last human transport prepared to depart, its captain sent a simple message to all galactic observation vessels. Thank you for the warning. We won't forget those who voted to defend us. The ship vanished into the darkness of space, leaving behind an empty solar system and a growing sense of unease among those who had come to enforce the exile. 2 years after humanity's departure, the galaxy had grown strangely quiet. Representative Mulak of the Centauri Federation floated through what had once been a bustling human trading post in the Rigel system. His gelatinous body pulsed with dim blue light as he observed the empty halls. The station, once filled with the sounds of human commerce and conversation, now echoed only with the hum of minimal life support systems. Everything of value was taken, reported his aide, a younger Centauri whose form had not yet fully stabilized. They left the station intact but removed all technology, personal belongings, and cultural artifacts. Mualak expanded his sensory membrane to scan the abandoned food court. What they couldn't take, they erased. No signs, no advertisements, no artwork remains. Quite thorough for a supposedly primitive species, his aide noted. Mulak contracted slightly, the Centauri, equivalent of a frown. As one of those who had voted for humanity's exile, he had expected something different. Protests, resistance, perhaps even attempts to smuggle humans into galactic territory. Instead, humanity had simply vanished, taking everything that defined them and leaving behind empty shells. The conclave meets next week to discuss the human situation, Mulak said. What exactly will we discuss? Their perfect compliance? His aide's color shifted to a more purple hue, indicating uncertainty. There have been incidents. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Conclave, representatives from 217 species gathered. The human seat remained empty, a reminder of their absence. High Arbiter Zikful called the session to order, crystalline body glowing with formal blue light. We convene to review the status of human exile, the Arbiter announced. The Enforcement Division will present their report. Admiral Ziktar stepped forward. 2 years of monitoring the borders of galactic space had added new stress markings to his exoskeleton. Respected representatives, he began, I can confirm that humanity has maintained full compliance with the exile order. No human vessels have attempted to enter galactic territory since their withdrawal. Then why this special session? Asked Tikal of the Regelian Empire, tail twitching with impatience. Because, the Admiral continued, we have detected unusual activities beyond our borders that give cause for concern. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing a map of the galaxy. The regions controlled by the conclave glowed green, covering nearly 2/3 of the charted space. Small red dots appeared at various points beyond the border. These are sensor anomalies recorded over the past 18 months, explained Admiral Zikatar. Unexplained energy signatures, communication frequencies that match no known pattern, and debris of unknown origin. Speculation without evidence, dismissed a representative from the Hyades cluster. The regions beyond galactic territory are unexplored for good reason. Unstable star formations, radiation fields, resource scarcity. Perhaps, the Admiral acknowledged. But we've also lost contact with 3 independent research vessels that ventured into these regions. This caused a stir in the chamber. The loss of ships was always concerning, even exploratory vessels operating outside official territory. Most troubling, continued the Admiral, was the final transmission from the Xylorian science vessel Cosmic Inquirer before contact was lost. He activated a recording. A panicked Xylorian voice came through, partially obscured by static. Unknown. Vessels approaching. Configuration matches no known. Requested identification, but message repeating in multiple languages. Says you're trespassing. Attempting to with. The transmission ended abruptly. Silence fell over the chamber. We have no proof these incidents are connected to humanity, Admiral Zakatar said carefully. But the timing is notable. From the back of the chamber, the delegate of the Proxima rose to speak. The Proxima were one of the oldest species in the Galactic Conclave, and one of the few who had voted against humanity's exile. Their delegate, a being who appeared as a shifting shadow even in bright light, rarely spoke at these gatherings. You misunderstood humanity fundamentally, the Proxima delegate said, voice resonating oddly as if coming from multiple directions. You judge their biological aggression and technological crudeness as evolutionary flaws. You failed to recognize their adaptability as their greatest strength. Tikal's scales flushed with irritation. They were unpredictable and dangerous. They were different, the Proxima countered. While your civilization spent thousands of years slowly advancing along predictable paths, humans compressed the same development into centuries. What took most species 10 generations, they accomplished in 1. What exactly are you suggesting? Asked High Arbiter Zekvol. The Proxima delegate moved closer to the center of the chamber, shadow form rippling. When you exile a species, you typically confine them to their homeworld, restricting their growth. Humanity wasn't confined, they were freed. Released from your regulations, your oversight, your limitations. Released to what? Mulak asked, remembering the empty trading station. The uncharted regions are barren and hostile. To you, perhaps, the Proxima replied. But consider, if humans could compress millennia of development into centuries on their homeworld, what might they accomplish in just 2 years beyond your watching eyes? The chamber grew uncomfortably quiet as representatives considered this perspective. What are you saying? Admiral Zakatar finally asked. They're not hiding, said the Proxima. They're building. On the fringes of charted space, Captain Lyra, OC of the small human scout ship Pathfinder, observed the Conclave monitoring station. Her vessel, running with minimal energy signature and advanced cloaking technology, remained undetected as she recorded the station's transmission patterns. Another patrol route mapped, she noted, updating her charts. The paths of galactic enforcement. Vessels had become predictable. They never ventured more than 10 light-years beyond their official border. Her communications officer, Kai Chen, looked up from his station. Captain, we're receiving a coded transmission from Admiral Zhang. Lyra smiled. Put it through to my station. The message was brief but significant. Phase 3 approved. Commence forward operations. Acknowledged, she replied. Pathfinder, we'll continue monitoring the border. We'll rendezvous at Trinity Point in 3 weeks. As she ended the transmission, Lyra checked the time. The Pathfinder had been in operation for 18 months, charting galactic patrol patterns and testing their detection capabilities. In that time, humanity had established 17 major settlement hubs across previously unexplored regions of space, each connected by the new fold space transit system that Dr. Ambrose had finally perfected, once freed from conclave restrictions on dangerous research. Lyra pulled up the latest population reports. Over 3 billion humans had relocated to these new systems, with more arriving each day as the massive colony ships completed their journeys. The oldest settlements already had functioning industries, growing food production, and the first generation of children born beyond Earth. children who would grow up among the stars, without the shadow of alien judgment hanging over them. "Plot a course home," she ordered. "We have much to report." As the Pathfinder slipped away, a Conclave patrol ship passed nearby, completely unaware of the human vessel or the thriving civilization growing just beyond their sensors. The silence the Galactic Conclave had noticed wasn't the silence of extinction or defeat. It was the quiet focus of a species building something new, something that would soon change the galaxy forever. High Commander Elrax of the Galactic Exploration Corps stood on the bridge of the Celestial Seeker, the most advanced vessel in the Conclave fleet. 4 years had passed since humanity's exile, and disturbing reports had finally prompted the Conclave to authorize a major expedition beyond their borders. Elrax's gray skin wrinkled around his 3 eyes as he studied the sensor readings. His species, the Treloxi, were known for their analytical minds and caution, traits that had earned him command of this sensitive mission. "Status report," he ordered. His science officer, Nara, looked up from her console. Her feathered crest, flattened against her head, a sign of confusion in her avian species. "Commander, we're detecting industrial activity on a scale I've never seen before," she said. "Energy signatures are off the charts. The entire Vega 9 system appears to have been transformed." "Show me," Elrax ordered. The main view screen activated, displaying a star system that had once been considered uninhabitable. Now it bustled with activity. Massive orbital structures circled the planets, space stations larger than some moons, connected to each other through a network of transit points that flickered with strange energy. "Magnify," Elrax ordered, his voice hushed. The screen zoomed in on one of the larger stations. Ships moved in organized patterns around it, ships with sleek designs unlike anything in Conclave records. "Are those human vessels?" asked the navigator, Subcommander Lox. "They must be," Nara replied. "But they bear little resemblance to the primitive fusion drive ships humans used during their Conclave membership." Elrax studied the traffic patterns. "Those ships are moving at speeds our sensors can barely track. How are they generating such acceleration without tearing themselves apart?" "Unknown, Commander," Nara admitted. "The technology appears to manipulate space itself, rather than simply moving through it." Sub-Commander Lox's tendrils twisted anxiously. "Such technology was theoretical in our most advanced research centers. How could humans have developed it in just 4 years? Perhaps they already had it," Elrax said quietly. "Perhaps they never showed us everything they could do." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. "Set course for the central station," Elrax ordered. "Standard approach, all identification broadcasters active. I want them to know exactly who we are." As the Celestial Seeker moved deeper into the system, they detected more signs of extensive development. Asteroid fields had been converted into mining operations. Gas giants had collection facilities drawing resources from their atmospheres. Even the system's star had monitoring satellites in close orbit, apparently harvesting solar energy on a massive scale. "Commander," called the communications officer. "We're being hailed." "On screen," Elrax ordered. The view screen changed to show a human face. It took Elrax a moment to recognize former Ambassador Elena Chen, now dressed in a uniform he didn't recognize. "Hi, Commander Elrax," she greeted him with a polite smile. "Welcome to New Vega. I am Administrator Chen of the United Systems of Humanity. You've traveled far beyond your usual patrol routes." Elrax maintained his diplomatic composure despite his shock. "Administrator Chen, the Galactic Conclave authorized this expedition to investigate unusual activity in this region." "And now you found it," Chen replied calmly. "Would you like a closer look?" Before Elrax could answer, his science officer interrupted. "Commander, I'm detecting more systems like this one. At least 12 fully developed star systems within sensor range, all showing similar levels of development." Chen's smile remained steady. 23 systems, actually. Your sensors can't detect the more distant ones yet." 23? Elrax couldn't hide his astonishment. "That's impossible. The Conclave took centuries to develop half that number." "The Galactic feared what humanity might become," Chen stated. We decided to become it on our own terms, beyond your judgment and restrictions. Elrac studied the human carefully. Your technological advancement exceeds all projections. How did you accomplish this? When freed from conclave regulations, our scientists could pursue research previously deemed too dangerous or evolutionarily inappropriate, Chen explained. And without the need to share our discoveries, we could focus entirely on our own development. A notification appeared on Elrax's console. The Celestial Seeker was approaching the central station, a massive structure that dwarfed their vessel. As they drew closer, Elrax could see it housed millions of humans with sections still under construction. We have a proposal, Chen continued. Your vessel will be granted access to dock at our central hub. You may observe our development firsthand under escort. We have nothing to hide from scientific observation. Elrax considered this unexpected offer. And if we decline? Then you're welcome to return to conclave space with your sensor readings, Chen replied. We respect your borders. We suggest you respect ours. After a brief consultation with his officers, Elrax accepted the invitation. As the Celestial Seeker docked at the massive station, the commander prepared his away team. Record everything, he instructed them. The conclave must understand exactly what's happening here. Escorted by human security officers, the Galactic team toured facilities that left them speechless. Research laboratories worked on technologies the conclave had deemed theoretically impossible. Manufacturing centers produced materials with properties Elrax had never seen before. Even the basic living quarters showed an efficiency and design quality unexpected from a species considered primitive just 4 years earlier. In a conference room overlooking a vast garden chamber at the stations, Chen met with Elrax privately. You're building an empire, Elrax observed. We're building a home, Chen corrected, one where we determine our own path. The conclave will see this as a potential threat, Chen nodded. They might. That's why we've maintained our distance and respected your territory. We have no interest in conflict, Commander. We simply wish to exist on our own terms. These technologies, Elrax gestured at a passing ship visible through the viewport. Some are beyond anything in conclave records. Because you stopped looking, Chen said. Most conclave species reached a level of technology they deemed sufficient, then stagnated. Humans never stop asking what if and what's next. As Elrax prepared to depart, his science officer presented a final report. The data was staggering. In just 4 years, humanity had colonized a region it would have taken the conclave centuries to settle. We'll report our findings accurately, Elrax promised Chen as they stood in the docking bay. We expect nothing less, she replied. And Commander, when you return to your conclave, tell them this. We keep our word. We have not entered your territory. Since our exile, we expect the same courtesy in return. As the Celestial Seeker departed, Elrax stood at the viewport, watching the massive human station recede from view. 23 star systems, millions of humans, technologies that defied conclave understanding. Send all data to conclave headquarters, he ordered. Priority transmission. The Galactic Conclave had exiled humanity, believing they were containing a potential problem. Instead, they had released a force that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. 5 years after the exile vote, the grand chamber of the Galactic Conclave buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 217 species had gathered for an emergency session. High Arbiter Zakvol's crystalline body pulsed with rapid color changes, a sign of extreme agitation. Order, the Arbiter called, voice resonating through the chamber. The council will come to order. The representatives gradually quieted, their attention drawn to the massive view screens showing real-time feeds from across galactic space. The images displayed the same scene from different locations, human ships appearing near major galactic hubs. Not 1 or 2 vessels, but hundreds, simultaneously materializing at trading centers, diplomatic outposts, and transportation nexuses. How is this possible? Demanded Tikal of the Rigelian Empire, her scaled tail lashing against the floor. Our defense networks detected no approach. Admiral Zakatar, now promoted to defense coordinator after his years monitoring human exile, stepped forward. The vessels appeared simultaneously at over 30 locations throughout Conclave space. They bypassed our detection grid completely. Have they violated the exile terms? Asked Mulak of the Centauri Federation. Technically, no, replied the Admiral. They aren't entering our space. They're just appearing in it. Our scientists suggest they've developed some form of point-to-point transportation technology. The chamber doors opened and a delegation of humans entered. Their leader, a tall man with dark skin and silver-streaked hair, wore a uniform bearing an unfamiliar insignia, a blue earth surrounded by 12 stars. The delegation from the United Systems of Humanity requests audience, announced the Chamber Herald. High Arbiter Zakvol's colors stabilized into a formal pattern. Approach and identify yourself. The man stepped forward, his posture straight and confident. I am Admiral Marcus Zhang, representative of the United Systems of Humanity. We come to establish formal relations between our civilizations. Relations? Tikal hissed. Your kind was exiled. Admiral Zhang nodded politely. The 5-year quarantine period officially ended yesterday by Galactic Standard Time. We are no longer bound by the exile restrictions. This show of force, began the Arbiter, is merely efficient transportation, Zhang interrupted smoothly. Our vessels carry diplomatic and trade representatives, not weapons. We arrive simultaneously because time is valuable to all species. The Proxima delegate moved forward, shadow form rippling with what appeared to be amusement. I believe Admiral Zhang and his delegation deserve a proper hearing, given they have technically violated no laws. Reluctantly, the Arbiter agreed. Present your purpose, Admiral Zhang. Zhang gestured and holographic displays activated around the chamber. They showed star charts, trade routes, and technical specifications for technologies unlike anything most representatives had seen before. We come not to rejoin your galactic community, Zhang announced, his voice carrying easily through the vast chamber, but to establish formal relations between equals. The United Systems of Humanity currently governs 37 fully developed star systems beyond your borders. Our population exceeds 4 billion. Our industrial capacity and technological development have advanced considerably. The displays showed massive space habitats, fleets of ships with designs that bewildered Conclave engineers, and energy production facilities that harvested power directly from stars. Impossible, muttered a representative from the Sirius Collective. Such development would take centuries. For species that advance incrementally, perhaps, Zhang agreed. Humanity has chosen a different path. When faced with necessity, we innovate. When challenged, we adapt. When exiled, he paused, looking directly at the Arbiter. We thrive. Zhang continued his presentation, revealing technologies that caused gasps and murmurs throughout the chamber. Phase-shifted matter manipulation, gravitational engineering, and most significantly, the fold space drive that allowed their ships to travel between distant points without crossing the intervening space. While your civilizations focused on refining existing technologies, humans fundamentally reimagined what was possible, Zhang explained. The exile merely accelerated our plans. And now you return to threaten us with these advancements? Asked Tikal. Zhang shook his head. We return to offer opportunity. The United Systems has no interest in conquest or domination. We seek trade, cultural exchange, and peaceful coexistence. A representative from the agricultural world of Tyrannus spoke up. Why would you trade with those who exiled you? Because isolation serves no species in the long term, Zhang replied. Even during our development these past 5 years, we maintained connections with those who supported us. This revelation caused another stir in the chamber. Zhang nodded toward the representatives of the Arcturians, Vega Collective, and Proxima, the 3 species that had voted against humanity's exile. These 3 civilizations recognized humanity's potential, Zhang continued. They established secret alliances with us, sharing technologies and resources in exchange for human ingenuity. All have benefited greatly from this arrangement. The Arcturian delegate, an ancient being whose crystalline form had witnessed millennia of galactic history, confirmed this claim. The humans have provided solutions to engineering problems that plagued our civilization for centuries. Their different perspective proved invaluable. The Vega representative added, "Human artistic and cultural innovations have enriched our society in ways we could not have predicted." High Arbiter Zikavol's colors shifted to a pattern indicating deep concern. "You have altered the balance of power in the galaxy." "We have created a new balance," Zhang corrected, "one that recognizes humanity as a major civilization rather than a probationary species to be judged and restricted." The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives argued for immediate defensive measures. Others suggested forming trade agreements with the humans before other species gained advantages. A few even proposed rescinding the Exile decree entirely. Through it all, Admiral Zhang and his delegation waited patiently. When finally acknowledged again, he delivered the core of his message. The United Systems of Humanity extends formal recognition to the Galactic Conclave as a sovereign entity. We propose non-aggression treaties, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges with any species that wishes to engage with us as equals. Our borders will remain open to peaceful visitors and closed to those with hostile intent. He paused, looking around the chamber. Necessity breeds innovation. You made isolation necessary. We made it productive. The question now is whether the Conclave can adapt to this new reality as effectively as humanity adapted to exile. As the delegation departed, leaving the Conclave to deliberate, Zhang met briefly with the Proxima delegate in a private chamber. "Did they react as you expected?" asked the shadow-like being. Zhang smiled slightly. "Fear, followed by calculation of advantage, followed by reluctant acceptance. Humans aren't the only predictable species in the galaxy." "And your true capabilities?" the Proxima inquired. "You showed them only a fraction, I suspect." "Enough to establish respect, not enough to provoke panic," Zhang replied. "The balance of power has shifted, but maintaining peace requires careful revelation." As Zhang rejoined his delegation aboard their flagship, communications arrived from the United Systems capital. On screens throughout the ship, Administrator Chen's face appeared. "Admiral, report," she requested. "Message delivered, Administrator. The Conclave understands that the galaxy now has two major powers, not one." Chen nodded, satisfied. "And Earth?" "The terraforming fleets are ready," Zhang confirmed. "Our homeworld will be fully restored within a year." The administrator smiled. "Excellent. Remind our diplomats we sought freedom, not dominance. The Conclave exiled us expecting submission. Instead, they created their first true equal in 10,000 years. As the human vessels departed using their fold space technology, representatives across the Conclave realized the galaxy had entered a new era, one where humanity could no longer be dismissed, contained, or controlled. 10 years had passed since the Galactic Conclave voted to exile Earth. On a clear morning, Administrator Elena Chen stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the massive headquarters of the United Systems of Humanity. Through the transparent dome, she could see Earth below. A vibrant blue sphere, its continents green and thriving, its oceans clean and sparkling. "Hard to believe it's the same planet we left behind," said Admiral Marcus Zhang, joining her at the viewport. Elena smiled. The terraforming teams did remarkable work. The damage from centuries of pollution was reversed in just 3 years. Earth had been carefully restored after humanity's exodus. Rivers ran clear again. Forests expanded across once barren lands. Wildlife flourished in protected zones. Only a fraction of the human population had returned. Most chose to remain in the colony systems. But those who came back lived in harmony with the rejuvenated planet. "The Galactic delegation has arrived," Zhang informed her. "Their representatives are gathering in the Grand Assembly Hall." Elena nodded, adjusting her formal uniform. As Supreme Consul of the United Systems, she would lead these historic negotiations. "Have our diplomats reviewed their proposal?" "Yes," Zhang replied. "They're still struggling to understand why we declined their previous offers." 10 years ago, the Conclave had voted to exile humanity. Now they were coming to Earth to request cooperation and assistance. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The Grand Assembly Hall of Unity Station represented humanity's new philosophy. Unlike the imposing, intimidating chamber of the Galactic Conclave, this space was designed for equality. The circular room had no elevated platforms, no dominating central position. All seats were arranged in concentric rings, allowing each representative equal visibility and importance. As Elena entered, representatives from 35 galactic species rose in a gesture of respect. Among them was High Arbiter Zuckvol, whose crystalline form had acquired new patterns indicating advanced age. Also present were old faces, Mulak of the Centauri Federation, Tikal of the Rigelian Empire, and the ever-mysterious Proxima delegate. Supreme Consul Chen, the High Arbiter, greeted her, colors shifting to formal patterns. On behalf of the Galactic Conclave, we thank you for hosting this summit. Elena took her seat in the outer ring, deliberately choosing not to occupy the central position. The United Systems welcomes all who come in peace. Please be seated. As the delegates settled, holographic displays activated, showing statistics that told the story of the past decade. Trade volumes between human and galactic worlds had increased eightfold. Technological exchange programs had been established with 27 species. Cultural centers in both territories attracted millions of visitors annually. 10 years ago, Elena began, the Conclave voted to exile Earth from galactic space. Today we gather as partners in a new galactic era. Few could have predicted this outcome. The Proxima delegate's shadowy form rippled with what might have been amusement. Some did. Elena acknowledged this with a smile. True, the Proxima, Arcturians, and Vega collective saw potential where others saw threat. Their faith has been rewarded with technological and cultural exchanges that benefited all our peoples. High Arbiter Zekavol moved to the speaking position. The Conclave has reviewed the progress of our relationship with the United Systems of Humanity. After much deliberation, we wish to propose a historic change. Elena nodded for him to continue. We propose formally rescinding the exile decree, the Arbiter announced. Earth and humanity would be recognized not as a probationary member but as a full and equal participant in the galactic community. Murmurs spread through the assembly. This offer represented a significant shift in the Conclave's position, an acknowledgement of humanity's rise to power and influence. Elena studied the Arbiter carefully. An interesting proposal, High Arbiter. May I ask what prompted this change? Tikal spoke up, her scaled face showing the subtle markings of wisdom acquired through experience. Pragmatism, Supreme Consul. The innovations emerging from human territories have transformed galactic commerce, medicine, and engineering. Those species who established early partnerships with your people have advanced significantly. Competition drives progress, added Mulak, his gelatinous form now showing the deeper blue of maturity. Many in the Conclave wish direct access to human innovation without navigating the complex treaty structure currently in place. Elena exchanged glances with her advisors. This was the third such offer from the Conclave in recent years, each more generous than the last. The United Systems appreciates the Conclave's proposal, Elena replied carefully. However, our current status has served both our civilizations well. We maintain our independence while establishing productive relationships with individual species through bilateral agreements. The Arbiter's colors shifted in surprise. You decline full membership, even with all restrictions removed? We do, Elena confirmed. The United Systems of Humanity is quite comfortable with the current arrangement. She stood and walked to the center of the chamber, activating a new holographic display. It showed the known galaxy, with Conclave territory in blue and United Systems territory in green. In 10 years, human space had grown to nearly equal the size of the Conclave's holdings. When you voted to exile Earth, Elena explained, you unintentionally gave humanity a precious gift. freedom from constraints that had limited our development for centuries. The regulations and restrictions the conclave places on its members, while well-intentioned, would now hinder rather than help us. She gestured to representatives from the scientific, artistic, and commercial delegations. Our researchers pursue knowledge without arbitrary limits. Our artists create without cultural restrictions. Our merchants trade without excessive regulation. This freedom has driven our growth and prosperity. The Proxima delegate moved forward. Supreme Consul speaks truth. The conclave's strength is stability. Humanity's strength is adaptation. Different paths, both valid. High Arbiter Zekaval's colors stabilized into a pattern of acceptance. Then how do you envision our future relationship? Elena smiled and returned to her seat. As respectful neighbors rather than merged societies. As partners who recognize our different approaches as complementary rather than competing. She nodded. To Admiral Zhang, who activated the final display. Plans for cooperative projects that would benefit both civilizations without requiring either to change their fundamental nature. In trying to contain humanity, you set us free, Elena told the assembled representatives. In voting to exile Earth, you forced us to look beyond its boundaries and limitations. We don't seek to rejoin what we never truly belonged to. We seek to build something new alongside you. A galaxy where different civilizations can follow different paths while still working together. As the summit concluded, Elena met privately with the Proxima delegate, whose species had been the most mysterious supporter of humanity from the beginning. You anticipated this outcome, Elena observed. Was that why your species voted against our exile? The shadowy form seemed to smile. We are old, Supreme Consul. We have seen many young species rise. Most follow predictable patterns. Humans were different. You needed space to become what you could be. And what is that? Elena asked. Balance. The Proxima replied simply. The conclave brought order but stagnated. Humanity brings change. Together, yet separate, you create a healthier galaxy than either could alone. As the Galactic delegation departed Earth aboard their ships, they passed the magnificent human vessel, Exile to excellence, preparing for its journey to the thriving human territories beyond traditional space. On its hull, emblazoned beneath, the United Systems insignia, a simple motto captured the spirit of humanity's unexpected journey. They voted to exile Earth. Humanity didn't wait to be told twice.